to Biden and the trans policies.
Ooh.
Next. The transgender policies.
It's about to get spicy.
Yeah, it's about to get a little bit spicy. Now, Biden, we all know that Biden is definitely pandering. He does not care about the transgender community whatsoever. It's just the Democrats have just moved on. They what they've done essentially is just moved on from black people and on to trans people. Because they know, but Democrats aren't stupid. They know strategy. They know they're smart.
They got what they needed from black people.
Yeah, they have what they need. It's in the bag. It's like it's in the back pocket. They don't have to work for black people anymore because the vote is in the bag.
Not for another 3 years.
Yeah, not for another 3 years, and then BLM is gonna BLM is gonna magically pop up again in 3 years. Watch.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll be back when election comes because they're nothing but a arm of the Democrat Party. But I digress. So, like I said, Biden does not care about the trans community. So what he's going to, but he does want their votes, and he wants the votes of the people who support trans community.
Right.
So what he did was he strategically placed this person who identifies as transgender to the health was the health or the health department?
Yeah.
Or was it the education department?
No, it was health.
Okay, yeah. And Trump didn't really hit on that subject, but he did hit on the policies that Biden was trying to implement as far as allowing transgender women to participate in women's sports. And I was very happy that he hit on that. And it was like, thank you for addressing that. This is this is the first person besides Tulsi Gabbard, like mainstream politician besides Tulsi Gabbard, that has really come out, somebody that has an impact, that has really come out and said something against this transgender women participating in women's sports.
Yep.
And I really appreciate him for that, because that is just, that whole topic is disgusting. It's disgusting.
I also really appreciate him saying it. So I identify as a feminist. Like, I support LGBT community, but as a feminist, I can't support trans women.
You have to draw the line somewhere.
Yes, because
trans women participating in women's sports.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not in sports in general. Did I say that?
No, I didn't hear you say sports. I just can't support them.
I have so many thoughts on this subject that I'm like, where do I start? So
honestly, I mean, I'm not a person that, I'm not going to come out and say that I support transgenders at all, because like I really don't understand the whole reasoning behind it, and I don't get it. I will never get it. I will never understand it. It's just, the whole thing is weird to me, and I might sound ignorant. I might sound like a transphobe, but I will never understand the whole transgender thing, and it just doesn't hit with me.
Yeah.
And when you add the element of them participating in women's sports, transgender women, now that's when you're starting to make me angry.
Right.
That's when you're starting to piss me off.
Agreed. Because that's when it starts affecting other people's, other women specifically, their lives. So once that barrier is broken, that's when I'm like, no, that's when we need to address, what's going on. And I have other concerns, about the transgender community in general as a whole, but we can save that for another topic, specifically for this one in particular, revolving around sports. You hear the debate like, oh, it's such a microscopic, demographic that it doesn't even really matter. Like, who's it affecting? And it's like, well, the number of transgender women in sports, that might be a small number, but the number of women that it's affecting is huge. Yeah. Especially when you get higher up and you're looking at records being set. Yeah. It's like, well, now thousands of women, biological women, have to face this standard or try to live up to the standard that they're not. This makes me like, it's hard for me to choke out, but it's like, but the reality is that there are biological difference between man and woman. And so when you're talking about this, we've talked about this in great length, because I'm very much the one, like, I can do anything a man can do, women can do. And it's just like, there's a reality there that,
from a physical standpoint, that is just it's something that is we have to face. There's a reality check that we have to. It hits us. We are hit with that reality check that men are built different than women. Yep. I saw something. I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you get back to your point, but I saw something that was just completely disgusting. I saw a video of a transgender woman that looked like LeBron with a wig on, racing against these women. And this was like a high school track event. I think was it hurdles?
I thought you were talking about the community college. Yeah, the hurdles one, that was just like...
It looked like LeBron James was racing against these women. LeBron James in a wig, pretty much. And she just shattered the women. Like, it was like, it got to the point where you see the video, and the video was focused on the girls and this transgender woman, and they raced, and the transgender woman just left them. Like, they weren't, the women weren't even on the screen anymore. That's how fast, and that's how much of a difference the physical aspect between a man and a woman is. You can't compare the two. And Biden, this administration, has put down all of these executive orders. This whole thing about the Equality Act, whatever BS that they're trying to put out, it's just got me just... It's just going to make it to where they're going to destroy women's sports. Yeah. There needs to be more feminists speaking out, feminists, real feminists such as yourself should be coming out. It shouldn't just be you. It shouldn't just be Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not the biggest fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but she is principled, and I respect her. It was like, I was saying something a couple of months back, like, damn, man, Tulsi Gabbard's going to make me start liking her. I don't like this woman, but she is principled. Yep. And she is a real feminist. Yes. And I appreciate people who stand their ground. Yeah. And it's just like, people are just, well, I'm a feminist, but I'm just not going to talk about it because I don't want to be canceled by woke culture. And it's just like,
well, women are being canceled. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, the woman with an X, oof, that makes me so angry. I'm like, I'm all for inclusivity, but don't cancel my identity. I identify as a woman. I am a woman. Don't cancel it, because I grew up applauding, as did many other feminists, women throughout centuries that have lost their lives battling so that I could be a woman. Don't try to cancel that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're taking a group that I guess is you're trampling on somebody else's rights to get your rights. When you do that, it distorts the whole movement. It just makes it makes your movement look weak. It makes your movement look it destroys your whole movement, in my opinion, because when you're trampling on somebody else's rights to fight for your rights, that's not what a movement is supposed to be about.
Exactly. And I never thought that, well, I'm just Candace Owens, I didn't write down her exact tweet, but she tweeted something along the lines of, if you're wondering what feminism is, it is Trump having the courage to protect the integrity of women's sports. And
Absolutely.
It's like, oh snap, I wouldn't have ever thought that I would say, oh yeah, here's Trump standing up for feminist, or like being a feminist, like, but she hit it spot on, like.
Absolutely. If you're a feminist and you have any problem with what Trump said, you're not a feminist to me. I mean, regardless of if it's Trump or saying, if regardless of who says it, if you have a problem with what he said or what he's doing, standing up for women's sports, standing up for the rights of women, not having to compete with other men. You have a problem with that and you call yourself a feminist? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Right. Because you can... I think that there's this thought that you have to be, supportive of trans women. And like, I'm like, okay, cool. You're a woman. I'll give you that respect that you're asking for. You identify as a woman. Cool, you're a woman. But that doesn't mean that I have to let my what's the word I'm looking for? Not even necessarily rights, but my potential, or, my future, my niece's future, my neighbors, it's like.
Yeah,
I don't have to let that be jeopardized.
Yeah, you're because your accolades are going to be affected by it. Like let's say that you have this woman that is the fastest woman in the world. She's gonna continue to get second because she has to race against a man. Yeah. That identifies as a woman.
And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know. Maybe the vast majority of women don't care. I don't think that's the case. But, why don't we have, a couple thoughts here. We could have...
Go ahead.
So we have... test it out. Let's have men's sports, women's sports, and then all inclusive, like where it's all men, like all genders are in their own division.
Well, yeah, I'm for that. Like I would be definitely for that if transgenders or just make a league where it's just like everybody can compete in that league, where you have, I guess, like a unisex league. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing too, and we've talked about this before, but I'm like, and I know that there are, I can already see it now. People want to, I'll say it first, but have sports based on chromosomes, right? So you have XX, XY. Yes, I know there are outliers there, but generally speaking, we can all like agree that covers the vast majority. Like,
don't even address it. So you mean don't even address it as men sports or women's sports? Address it as by the chromosomes?
I hate it, but if we're gonna make it,
yeah, I mean,
fair,
if we're gonna make it fair, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that because what that does is box the transgender or the transgender community into a corner because they're not going to be able to say, hey, because gender is a social, construct or a social thing. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah, exactly. You're not talking about their biological. You're talking about. So okay, we'll just get rid of all of that and just be. I like that. Chromosomes, strictly,
biology.
Yeah, strictly chromosomes.
Follow the science.
Yes, follow the science. Yes, let's do that. Follow the science. XY league, XX league. Period. And let's see what happens. Yep. Let's see what happens. That's what they should do. I agree with that. That is a great solution.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now if we can get more people on it.
It's just like, you come up with that solution, and everybody's going to
they're going to find problems with
find
it.
problems with it. You'll be
Because
canceled. Oh,
yeah.
you are transphobic. You don't want to. You don't want to address the. You want to. What's the word? You want to silence the transgender community. You want to make them disappear.
No, no, not at all. And it just makes fair, even playing ground.
Even playing field. Yeah.
Thank you.
And even playing
Speaking
field.
of sports.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I wanted to touch on was like, why was this an executive order? Yeah. Why did Biden make this an executive order? Like,
it's a good question.
I don't understand. There was literally no need for that. And you want to talk about authoritarian, dictatorship type. That's one right there. That's a social issue that the people should vote on. People should have a voice. Yes. There's no reason why that should be an executive order.
Yeah, that shouldn't be an executive order at all. Yeah, because all of the issues we have, you're going to use an executive order on that, on a population that's not even 1% of the population. You're going to take that and use that executive order on that. It's like where you are really pandering now.